people asking about intermittent fasting, and is this the approach I should use if I want to lose weight quickly? What's your thoughts on
intermittent fasting is a great example. All of us, lots of the general population will fixate on intermittent fasting. And some clown will come out with a book saying they've got the secret to losing weight, the secret to getting lean, and they'll say it's intermittent fasting. Next year they'll say it's ketogenic dieting, low carbs, whatever it may be, zero carbs. Fad to fad to fad to fad to fad. All of them work as long as you control your calorie balance. Simple as that. Simple as that. You get people asking about the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet basically means eating red meat, nothing else. Because you've got the likes of Jordan Peterson, and it's worked for Jordan Peterson and especially his daughter. His daughter was plagued with health problems, and clearly, whatever she had going on with her gut, she couldn't tolerate any kind of carbohydrate and any kind of fermented food. So good for her. Chronic, life-limiting health conditions been fixed. Is it needed for the vast majority of people who are overweight? No, it's not. Eat from the land. You've heard me say this before, Joe, right? Eat from the land, control your portions. Don't do the thing that I was taught, which is finish everything that's on your plate.
Okay.
Depending on the size of your plate. If you're full, you're full. Push the plate away.
I mean, this is where mindful eating can come into its own, right? And something that if anyone ever asks me what they should do is don't eat in front of the TV, don't eat in front of your phone, don't eat in front of your laptop. Take your time to appreciate what's on your plate, smell it, taste it, the flavor, everything, because you will naturally slow down and you will probably feel full without feeling the need to clear your plate. And it's exactly the same as a kid. You're not having your dessert until you clean your plate, and it's not a normal way of eating, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Another question that's come in from James is around low carbs. And he wants to know what actually is low carb. How many grams a day would you be talking to be on a low carb diet? And secondly, would you recommend low carb as the number one way to go for someone who wants to make body composition, by which I mean muscle mass increase and body fat decrease changes?
Low carb is relative to your muscle mass, your metabolism, and your exercise activity and the kind of exercise that you do. If you are doing a high volume of exercise, which might be high reps in the gym, lots and lots of kind of more cardiovascular driven work, you're probably going to need higher carbs. Probably. If you're doing lots of low rep strength work, low reps, sub 5 reps kind of thing, you just don't necessarily need that many carbs. People's muscle mass, the more muscle you have, the more carbs you probably need. Here is the thing with low carbs and low carb dieting in a nutshell. It's a very good way for most people to start a diet. The reason why it's a very good way for most people, for most overweight people, not all, but most, is because the very fact that you are overweight means your body does not respond so well to carbs. Just doesn't respond so well. It's what's called insulin sensitivity or insulin insensitivity in this case.
Okay.
This basically means you eat the carbs, and instead of your body producing enough insulin to drive the carbs where they should go, kind of into your muscles, into some of your organs as well, instead what happens is it kind of just goes, the insulin receptors are deaf. You've got to produce too much insulin. You've got to force it all in. And what happens basically, the more overweight you are, the more likely the carbs you eat will end up being stored as fat. So a very lean person, someone like you, overeats by 500 grams of carbs a day. It's not going to touch the sides with you for a little while. An overweight person, a sedentary person, someone that gets older, all of these things, someone with very low muscle mass, all of these things are like competing factors. You're going to have a problem. So I like low carb dieting for the vast majority of people for anything from 5 days to 50 days or 100 days. That's a real outlier. Typically 5 to 15 days, let's say. Just gets you started on the diet. It's a no-brainer. When you cut out carbs, you're cutting out a huge amount of the potential junk. So it just sets some habits. And what you do when you go low carb, you get a quick win. You lose some weight quite quickly. You don't necessarily lose fat. You might lose water, might lose a bit of inflammation.
But I think
the
the
scale
key thing
goes
there,
down,
Nick,
you feel a bit slimmer, you feel a bit lighter on your feet, and then this is positive reinforcement for the diet. And you can add carbs in then. And again, as I said, the leaner you get, the more you deserve your carbs.
I think the key thing there is
the more muscle you have, the more you deserve your carbs.
I'm sorry, Nick, that I'm going to have to keep talking over you, but I think it's the only way I'm going to get a word in edgeways here. I think the key thing with the carbs as well is people think either carbs are good or carbs are bad, where the average person, as you said, eat from the land. If you cut out all of the processed carbs, it's not the end of the world if you're having some carbs through more natural sources, right? Vegetables are carbs, for instance. It's about doing something that's going to be sustainable. And in my experience, where I see people come undone, is they'll go, right, no carbs, that's it, no more carbs at all. And within 2 days, they're pulling their hair out because they can't sleep and they're moody and they're falling out with their partner.
Right, and those are the people that shouldn't go on low carbs, or they've just gone too hard, too fast. And again, lower carbs could be 100 grams, could be 50 grams, could be 150 grams. Cutting carbs back is useful for most people. Having days of low carbs or no carbs for all of us as adults is probably a good idea again, just to resensitize the body.
So the first step for somebody watching this who maybe doesn't have a ton of knowledge about training, about nutrition, they're a bit unhappy with how they're looking and how they're feeling, what would your advice be first and foremost to cut out the processed carbs, to cut out the sugar, for instance, or to massively look to reduce
My first advice for most people, if they're not guided by a professional, is fix your breakfast.
Okay.
Start with the first meal of the day, the thing that sets you up, because it sets you up. What you put in your mouth first thing in the morning, no innuendos there, sets up the neurotransmitters for the rest of the day. So start the day off in a way that doesn't end up causing a blood sugar crash.
Give us an
example. A bowl of cornflakes is not the right way for most of us. A bagel is not the right way for most of us. Fruit, granola, low-fat yogurt is not the ideal way. Most of us would benefit from fats and proteins. So, bacon and eggs is better than a bowl of cornflakes for sustained energy and for not going, okay, it's lunchtime, now I'm going to pig out. Or it's 11 o'clock, oh, I'm crashing, I'm going to have my latte and my muffin. So I'd fix breakfast first, because you're going to feel it for the rest of the day in a way that nothing else will do. And it will set yourself up. And, I talk about fat and protein, and I think the best kind of breakfast is the old Charles Poliquin meat and nuts variation. Don't have to literally be meat and nuts. It could be fish, eggs, all that stuff. You can also have good quality carbohydrates. You can have a bowl of oatmeal with some berries, but I don't want you to have some eggs or a protein shake or something. I want you to have some protein as well at the start of the day.
So if someone's watching this, they're busy, they've got kids, breakfast time is an absolute horror show on even the best days. What would be a go-to breakfast that hits those macros you've mentioned for someone who hasn't got much time?
There's so many. Don't allow yourself to have an excuse. Well, you can make a protein shake, and in a protein shake, in a blender, if you've got a blender, you can put anything in a blender. You can put nuts and nut butters, fruit, protein powders, eggs, yogurt, whatever you want to do. Oats, if I've not said that already. Or, how long does it take to scramble some eggs?
Yeah.
60 seconds? Or, you can, if you can't face that kind of food in the morning, get some yogurt, or a variation of yogurt, put some berries, put some fruit into it, put a bit of protein powder in if you want, if you need it, you might not need it, bung some oats in it, eat it. It takes 30 seconds.
I feel
eat it on the go, eat it in the car, eat it while you're walking to the bus stop. There isn't a valid excuse. There's not a valid excuse.
There's a lot of people watching this will have followed you for years, will be training in the gym. This isn't a question for them. I want to address this question for the person who's never really done any exercise before and who doesn't really know anything about nutrition. They said, what's more important? Is it the nutrition or is it the training? And my response, and I'll let you answer this fully, is the first thing anyone should do if you're doing nothing is move more, is to do physical activity, even if it's just a walk, because the amount of benefits you're going to get from that, from getting outside. I'm not just talking about the cardiovascular benefits or the calorie burning benefits. I'm talking about the mental health benefits of just moving your body. What would you say on that? Would you agree with me? You looked like you didn't, so I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
I'd say diet.
Right, okay.
I'd say diet. I'd say diet. But also, it's like saying, what's more important, to drink water or sleep?
So you think they have
If you don't hydrate, you die. If you don't sleep, you die. You die. So it's neither one nor the other.
I mean,
but you don't need to go to the gym. Like, I'm in the gym business. I've got 25 plus gyms all over the world, right? So I can say this with a straight face. The programs that we do at UP are set up to maximize efficiency. That's what they're set up for. They're set up to get people stronger, leaner, fitter in the most efficient manner possible. If you've done nothing, you sat on your ass all day, you work on your computer all day, you get in your car, your most vigorous activity is walking to the toilet. You don't need to do a lot to step it up. And you can just walk around. You can, when I do my telephone calls or my Zoom calls, my Skype calls, whatever they are these days, I'm walking around the house, I'm walking around the garden, I'm walking around the streets. I'm moving, I'm keeping myself moving. Fixing a little bit of the diet. It's baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. You don't have to go to the gym. You want to move your body. And ultimately what you want to work towards is finding something that you enjoy.
Yeah, and I think that's why I mentioned the physical activity being, in my mind, more important, because it feels psychologically like you're gaining something. You're gaining a 5-minute walk. You're gaining some energy from being outside. Whereas for a lot of people, going on a diet feels restrictive. It feels like you're giving up something, whereas it's much more of a positive outlook to move your body.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. You should always go, I get to do this today, not I have to do this today. So you need to get your exercise into a point where you feel good doing it. And even if it's something that you don't enjoy while doing it, after you've done it, you feel good having done it. Mental satisfaction, physical satisfaction, endorphin high, whatever it may be. You've got to get that mindset, I get to do this. And it's also got to be, I get to eat healthily. So you have to recognize the value to you personally of eating healthily. Look, we all do the wrong things. We all sit in bed and look at our laptops. Bad idea. Get up in the night, check our phones. We eat the crap food that's in the house. We all slip up always. And each and every time you've just got to remind yourself, I get to do this because it's going to have a positive outcome for me. A good analogy is you're training hard in the gym, you're running hard, whatever it may be. It's getting painful. That's the time that you should embrace it, because that's when I'm getting the results. That's when I'm going to be moving forward. And it should be the same with dieting. Eating healthily.
Yeah.
It should be the same with eating healthily.